Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. Barcelona moved 12 points clear of Real Madrid with a comfortable 1-0 victory at the Santiago Bernabeu. How did they do it? What did Real Madrid do wrong? Don't worry, here at the interviews, we've got you covered. So on this edition of the interviews, we're going to break down how Barcelona easily bet Real Madrid. So before we get into today's video, don't forget to give our video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. The bell below does give you daily notifications regarding our organic, unfiltered soccer/footy analysis. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. In today's video, we're going to break down the first half, see how both sides look to approach the game, how both sides were so open and where they were able to find their advantages, and then move to the second half to see how Barcelona easily let the game settle out. But first, let's get to the starting lineup. So we look at Real Madrid, no real surprises here. More of a 4-3-3, Bale, Vinicius, and Benzema up front. In midfield, again, no real surprises, Casemiro, Cruz, and Modric. Then we move to Barcelona, 4-3-3, sometimes more of a hybrid of a 4-4-2 with Suarez, Dembele, and Messi up front. In midfield, Rakitic, Busquets, and Artur. So now let's get to the first half, see how both sides look to approach the game and where they were able to find advantages in the opening period. When we look at Barcelona against Real Madrid, we look at Barcelona dropping off into two banks of four like they did in the midweek Clasico where they defeated Real Madrid 3-0. What they ended up doing here was now Rakitic was moved over to the right-hand side, Dembele on the left, and what Real Madrid were really looking to expose was Rakitic down that right-hand side, because when you break down every player as a whole, you see what Real Madrid could offer. They did very well with Gareth Bale. Jordi Alba wasn't really looking to push forward. He was conservative with his movement and pushed forward when the opportunity presented itself, and he had help from Dembele dropping off deeper to deal with Carvajal, and even at times we saw Longley kind of shift over to provide that protection. When you look at Benzema dropping off deeper to link play, he did that very well with the other two wider players, sometimes interchanging, but besides that, not really offering much of a goal-scoring threat. And Piqué and Longley, who were superb, weren't really tested in that regard. And down the left-hand side, that is where, once again, Real Madrid found majority of their chances through Reguilon, through Vinicius breaking forward, and we'll get to that in a bit. And down in midfield, the battle was kind of set up for itself like it was in midweek. What you had here was Artur against Luka Modric. You're supposed to have Rakitic against Toni Kroos, but what ended up happening was because they shifted to a 4-4-2 and Messi and Suarez weren't responsible for tracking back, when the ball got shifted out to Reguilon, Kroos had to push over into that flank. So whenever Kroos pushed over to step into that position, what would happen is that Busquets would slide in and step to Toni Kroos, and that's how they kind of went about things, which meant that Casemiro for large spells of the game was left without having any man-marking duties on him, so he was the spare man in midfield in that regard. So that's how they were going about it, whereas with Barcelona, you had Dembele, who was often pushed back by Carvajal to get the ball with his back to goal and drop off to link play. Lionel Messi often drifted out to the right channel to pick up the ball in deeper positions in midfield to kind of get away from that frenetic midfield zone, because if he did slide into that space, it was very simple for Real Madrid here, because what they ended up doing was that Casemiro would stick to Lionel Messi. If he drifted into those central areas, it would be Artur against Modric and then Cruz against Rakitic. And what Real Madrid did very well is that whenever Busquets got on the ball, it was kind of a four-man swarm. Whoever was closest to Busquets, whether it be the midfield trio or Karim Benzema, they would drop off into that space to press him to ensure that he didn't have time on the ball. And it did lead to some quick counterattacks. We saw Modric dispossess him. We saw Benzema come close. We saw Cruz step to him as well. So Busquets was flustered in those opening periods, which is kind of why it was helpful that Messi dropped into that space to kind of alleviate that pressure from him and to help Barcelona settle into the game. But with that being said, that's kind of how Barcelona did go about things and how Real Madrid dropped off. They were two banks of four for large spells, but as the game wore on, we saw Gareth Bale drop off a bit deeper to offer some protection, because Barcelona were finding gaps down the left-hand side. When you break down the way both sides kind of did approach the game, it was very open, no real cohesion in the terms of how they were kind of dropping off into that space. So there was, for Real Madrid, there was a lot of space down the left-hand side where they did attack. They found space between the lines, and the same thing could be said about Barcelona when we get into those chances, because like I said, Rakitic did sitting narrow did allow Real Madrid to push down that left-hand side. We saw in the earlier stages Casemiro just sliding the ball over with a quick switch of play to Vinicius, and that instantly led to a 2v1 with Vinicius and Reguilon pushing forward against Sergio Roberto, who slotted in at right back, but Vinicius is crossed through the goal side of the box. Ended up seeing Busquets step in to intervene there, but that was one warning where we kind of saw how Real Madrid are kind of going about things. Prior to them conceding the goal, they did start to press from the front as well, and that made sense where the center backs would push out wider, and you would have Bale and Vinicius step out to them. You would have Busquets drop off and Benzema push into those spaces, and then when the shuttlers try to push into their positions to get on the ball, you would have Modric and you would have Cruz step into those areas. So that worked for the first time they did try that. The second time we had Modric drop off a bit deeper and Carvajal push forward, and when the ball was played to Artur, he simply turned quickly and pushed forward to lead that Barcelona attack, and that's how they kind of did play out of the back when Real Madrid tried to press from the front. But when we get to how Real Madrid were able to create chances, we look to the left-hand side, we look to the space that Casemiro was able to get to play passes in between those lines. So first, we look to Reguilon getting the ball shifted out to him, and like we said, it was always difficult for Rakitic because he was kind of doing a dual role, sitting in midfield to ensure that Barcelona were trying to be compact, but then pushing out to Reguilon. Here, he doesn't get to him quick enough, and what we end up seeing is that we have Vinicius making the run in between Sergio Roberto and Piqué, which allows Reguilon to play the ball around Rakitic into Benzema, a goal side of Lenglet, and he holds off Lenglet, but Piqué comes across as well to try and track that run, and Benzema gets pushed out wide, but he flashes his shot wide of the net. We look to another opportunity where again we have Casemiro from a deeper position, not pressed, and when he pushes forward, he slides the ball in between Dembele and Artur, and who is it? Luka Modric ahead of the back four between the lines, and he has plenty of space to drive forward, but again, Rakitic is kind of caught out, so he slides the ball out to Reguilon, who pushes forward, delivers a cross into the box for Vinicius, very good cross, but Lenglet gets across to ensure that he's unable to get onto it. Shortly after that, you have Rakitic now in that left side, or his right side, and you have Vinicius step in to poke the ball away from him. It falls to Toni Kroos, and where does he find space? Down the left channel once again, playing it in between Roberto and in between Rakitic for Vinicius, who gets past Piqué coming across, and once he gets by him, he plays the ball back for Benzema ahead of Busquets breaking into the box, and he's able to spin him with these and lay it off to Modric, but Modric's shot is blocked. Great opportunity for Real Madrid, just not testing Ter Stegen, and shortly towards the end of the half, we see before Cruz is dispossessed by Messi, squares it off to Casemiro. Again, loads of space. This time he ends up picking out Carvajal running in behind Dembele, and he pulls it back in half space for Modric breaking into the box, but he nods his effort over the net. A lot of the time when people kind of try to explain Casemiro, he doesn't get enough credit for being a natural all-rounder, and we saw that here. But like I said, Barcelona were culpable down that right-hand side because of the way that they were approaching the game, and Reguilon took advantage of it. And like Real Madrid, who we'll get to in a second, when they dropped off in their two banks of four, just too much space between the lines, and Real Madrid were able to exploit that, but not able to test Ter Stegen. So now let's get to Barcelona, see what chances they created and why they were able to go into halftime up 1-0. Oddly enough, when we get to Barcelona, they followed somewhat of the same template that Real Madrid did in terms of chances. They created between the lines. They also went down the left-hand side. Down the left-hand side, a lot of it stemmed through Messi from deeper positions. On two occasions, he was able to clip the ball over Dani Carvajal. The first one, he dropped off deeper, was able to get past Vinicius, Reguilon, and then skip past Modric and clip it over a narrow Carvajal for Dembele breaking free. And what happened there was that his cross into the box was blocked by Carvajal, so nothing really stemmed from that. Shortly after that, later on in the half, we saw Messi again drift into that space in a deeper position and brush off Vinicius once again and clip it over Carvajal for Dembele breaking free. But this time he continued to run into the box, but as he played the ball as he got the ball back from Dembele, we had Sergio Ramos track that run and slide in to intervene. So that was what Messi offered from a deeper position, and they were trying to exploit Carvajal with Dembele's pace, but that never really worked out. But they were still able to find space between the lines. We saw Artur from deep position slide the ball between Modric and Kroos for Messi to the left of Casemiro, and from there he's obviously tracked by Casemiro and Reguilon, who steps in, but the ball falls to Suarez ahead of the center backs, and he's able to clip it over Ramos to get it back to Messi in that right-hand space, but he flashes a shot wide. But just goes to show again, like Barcelona, Real Madrid just not closing down that space in between their own teammates, and there was space for Messi and Suarez to drop into when need be, but there was mostly Messi getting into that space there, and that was key, although most of the time he did occupy those deeper positions to get on the ball. But shortly after that, we did see something that we saw in the Copa del Rey, and it was the way that Barcelona were able to score their opening 2 goals, and they followed the same template here, where as Real Madrid moved to more of a 4-5-1, you had Gareth Bale drift off to the right-hand side. That was to avoid Modric from interacting with the same experiences that Rakitic did in that 4-4-2. But what happens here now is that when the ball gets shifted out to Jordi Alba, you have Bale step to him, but Bale came out a bit too late, and you had Carvajal again a bit narrow and Dembele narrow, so Dembele makes that darting run in behind him, ball is played across. However, Carvajal tracks it well and closes that space, but again, it just goes to show how they were looking to get in behind Real Madrid, and when you look to their opener, it follows the same template just on the opposite side. It starts with Busquets tracking the run of Toni Kroos and nipping the ball away from him before Alba gives it back to Busquets, and then Messi drops off to pick it up, which forces Kroos to step out of this position. What we see here is that Messi slides the ball to Sergio Roberto, and when the ball goes to Roberto, who's supposed to step to him? Well, you have Reguilon stepping to him there instead of Vinicius, who was a bit higher. So he steps to him. Kroos should be tracking the run of Rakitic, who's looking to possibly get the ball back, but Rakitic is stepped to by Sergio Ramos, and now with Ramos stepping to him, he plays it back to Roberto and then runs off Ramos, and no one tracks the run of the marker in Rakitic breaking into the box. Casemiro could come across, Kroos never tracked, and he's able to break into the box free and kindly chip the keeper to put them up 1-0, and that's kind of how they were going about their business there down that side. That's how they're able to get their opener. And besides that, Rakitic again was involved in one more of their better chances deeper in the half, where he's able to slip past Vinicius. You have Messi move over to Varane, and then you have Suarez sitting ahead of the center backs there. So with now Varane kind of stepping into that space there, and Casemiro going to Rakitic, all Rakitic had to do was play the ball to Suarez, where he could take his first touch around Varane, who's trying to recover from Messi, and he fires a shot on goal that forces Courtois into a save. Messi was able to provide a tame rebound, but besides that, you kind of see how Barcelona are going about their business down the left-hand side from deeper positions, able to find space in midfield to exploit through Messi and through Suarez, and their goal, just like their build-up, just like their goals in midweek, stem down the wide areas where they're able to play around the fullbacks, and there was no tracking here, and Rakitic was able to make them pay. So now let's get to the second half, see how Real Madrid try to get back into the game and how Barcelona were able to kill it off. So the second half saw a more controlled version of Barcelona, with Real Madrid dropping off a bit deeper. But in the opening 10 minutes, we did see a lot of long direct threats playing Barcelona and Real Madrid players in. In the earlier stages, we saw Benzema dispossessed by Busquets when Piqué stepped forward, and he tried to clip the ball in transition to Dembele, running off Carvajal, but Carvajal somehow knotted it in between both center backs for Luis Suarez to break free on goal. Varane tracked him all the way, and then his last touch was poor, so Courtois was able to come out, but Suarez kept it in play besides his poor poke, and he played it across goal, back into the box for Messi, but Ramos came across. Shortly after that, Ter Stegen just with a simple long punt in between Varane and in between Carvajal for Dembele, but Dembele took too long to make a decision as to whether he should shoot or pass, and he was eventually dispossessed. But two simple direct punts up the field, and Barcelona were free on goal, and the same thing applied to Real Madrid. Ramos just clipping a quick free kick from his half over Sergio Roberto, and that fell to Vinicius, who was able to bring it down, gain a yard on Roberto, and then fire a shot on goal that Ter Stegen pushed away. But besides a slip up from Rakitic, Real Madrid never really looked like threatening Barcelona in that second half either. But when we look to Barcelona, as we said, Real Madrid dropping off a bit deeper, which did benefit Barcelona. But one thing that did benefit them besides that was the fact that Busquets now was free to play the ball. That press that we saw in the earlier stages was gone. And with him dropping off, with him deeper with no press on him, and Lionel Messi dropping off into midfield to get on the ball, Barcelona were really comfortable in the sense that they were able to control possession of the game, ensure they had sustained periods of the ball, and they were able to create chances. We look to two opportunities in particular where we see Busquets breaking forward, Real Madrid kind of retreating after Reguilon had lost the ball. So you see Valverde, who came on for Cruz, slotting in at right back, and all Busquets has to do is he locates Suarez making the run in between Varane and Carvajal, and he notices Messi making the run in between the two center backs. So he plays the ball around Casemiro, and that comes to Messi, who drops off a bit, and he cuts in on Ramos and Varane and slides the ball to Dembele coming across the edge of the left side of the box, but he rolls a tame effort on goal. But just like that was the first time we kind of saw Suarez and Messi making that run in behind, but Busquets able to just dribble the ball forward a few 10 to 15 yards does show the difference between what happened in the first half and what happened in the second half. And the final opportunity that we will break down here is Busquets again having the ball in a deeper position, locating Messi dropping off ahead of Ramos, and he plays the ball beyond Casemiro to Messi. Casemiro steps to him, he drops it back to Busquets, and then Messi moves to the right of Casemiro to get the ball back. And when he gets the ball back there, he pokes it across Carvajal for Dembele, breaking into the box. But again, nothing stems from that. It forces the keeper into a save. But like I said, just Messi and Busquets taking control of the game by dropping off a bit deeper and having the space with no Real Madrid press to really test them. And they were able to see off the game despite the substitutes coming on. Asensio came on, Isco to no avail. We saw Coutinho come on, and we saw Vidal come on, who did offer a bit more energy with his tackling and ensured that Barcelona steeled up the midfield and were able to close out the game. But we break down this game as a whole, you can see the difference between the two sides. Barcelona just a bit more experience and quality finishing up top, whereas for Real Madrid, still getting into good areas with Reguilon and Vinicius, but this game was very open, both sides conceding a lot of space, and Barcelona followed the same template that worked in their midweek game in the Copa del Rey here, and were once again able to exploit the deficiencies in this Real Madrid side. But let me know what you guys think. Does this mark the end of Real Madrid? Do they need an overhaul? And what about Barcelona? Can they legitimately win the treble? And have they won La Liga with this win? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget to upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.